You guys, look how cute this cup is. Look at his little face. Look at his little face. I found it for $3 at Home Goods. Isn't it the cutest cup ever? So that's not what this video is about. No,
it's about cute cups.
It's about cute cups. Today we have Reece back. What's up?
What's up?
You have my hair on your face.
Oh, dude, I'm collecting.
I shed.
Are you sure that's your hair? You've been at the store buying cups.
What's her name? So, oh my god. Today's video is a really good story time that we've been meaning to film for a while.
We're going to circle back to some story times. Okay.
Some more story times. Let me put this cup down because it's making Reece nervous.
Yeah, it makes you nervous when I'm drinking it.
So, what's the story time?
We're going to make this like...
What do you do?
I think
what happened?
This is another installment of why you should not do drugs.
Literally. Literally. Like, we joke around a little bit, but
yeah.
This is a very serious story. A very tragic thing happened, but we're just weird and we joke about things. Yeah, we can laugh now about it.
Oh, yeah. Hindsight's, 20/20, and it's always much funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also funny when it didn't happen to you. So.
Oh, correct. So everybody else can have some enjoyment on this, but on a personal level, it was, it was interesting.
When I first met you, I was like, dang, what happened to your face, bro?
Yeah.
All right, so where do we want to start here? What the hell happened?
Do we want to show? I know you have a picture. Do we want to show kind of, I don't know if you can see how much.
So, yeah, let me get up and we'll zoom in. So, Reece has a scar. We'll tell the story and then we'll zoom in.
Okay, I have a scar that, you can tell it's some burn, you know what I mean? So you can tell something happened. And a lot of times, because people know my personal history about me being deployed in the war, and they oftentimes just kind of roll that up into one and assume it's some sort of like really cool story. I probably have a medal for this.
Yeah.
And every now and then somebody decides to ask me, and everything that happened in my past is kind of a part of who I am. So I try not to ever be embarrassed or ashamed of anything that I did. I'm pretty transparent about it. So I have to tell like the most uncool story ever behind this scar, and most of the time people walk away, and I think most people when I tell them look really shocked. They're like, "Bro, you could have just made up a cool story."
I said that to you when you told me the story. I'm like, you could have lied. You could have said anything else.
You wouldn't know the difference, but I think the real story is also kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
So, do we want to tell it?
We want to tell it.
Okay, here we go.
They're dying.
All right.
Tell them.
This is back in my addiction. I think we're in late 2013. No, 2012. Yep. And we're going to go ahead and say October, I think. I've got a pretty good grip on when I believe that was. Just had my birthday, and at this point in the story, for those of you that have seen some videos, I am pretty deep into the full death spiral of my addiction. I am living with my father, recently bailed out of jail for the, I don't know how many time. I don't have anything left, but I'm still, still happy if I got a sack in my pocket. So I'm very much, grabbing at straws for anything that is working in my life currently. So anyway, I don't have a job. Imagine that. So I'm staying at my dad's place, and he's at work, and I've got like a little loft area up top, and
really nice house.
It is. It's a nice place. So I was rolling the bowl, getting high. I'd probably been up for a couple days, and the sudden need to replenish the depleted body, the state that I was in, because I'm sure I was doing push-ups in between downloading music, in between filling out job applications or whatever else 9 things I was doing that day. I felt the need for some French fries. So I scurry downstairs and I get me a pot of oil going, and I get the fries out, and I'm thinking, this is going to be delicious. Who doesn't love a big plate of French fries?
I know, right?
So I light the stove up, I go back upstairs, like a little tweaker. And I go back to the other 10 things that I'm doing, and not realize that I just started a pot with grease or oil on the stove for these French fries that I thought were going to be great. I don't know. I can't imagine how much time has gone by. Enough that up this stairwell, I start to notice that somebody is also smoking a bowl downstairs and burning it, and it's black. So
just to give you guys some frame of reference, if you've never smoked meth before, time moves very different.
Yes.
So what you thought was maybe 5 minutes could have been 45 minutes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm upstairs doing any number of things, and I start to notice a little bit of smoke starts to trickle upstairs. I'm like, I wonder what that could be. So back downstairs I go. And I come down to, and the stairwell walks right out into a clear pathway into the kitchen. Okay, and it's an open kitchen. It's nice, it's got an island, and it is also full of billowing black smoke. And I look over at the stove and realize I have left this grease on. And I thought, oh, it's just rolling smoke hot. So I think, what am I gonna do? So I get this idea, and I have no shirt on. I think I've got some shoes on, I do, for some reason.
You have shoes and no shirt on?
I have like some shorts on, some mesh shorts, and some shoes. I might have been,
but no
who knows, I might have been upstairs working out. I remember being very sweaty, but that doesn't necessarily mean I was doing much. It might have just been because I was really high.
Yeah.
So the sweat plays into factor here. I think I was working out. I was doing something, I don't know.
Downloading music, working out, filling out job
Anyway, so I remember being sweaty, so I think I gotta get this pot out of the kitchen, all right? So there's immediate, from the stove to my direct right, there's a clear pathway if I grab it out to the back door onto a deck. So I think I'll get it outside. So rather than do anything else like turn off the stove, maybe put a cap on it, I grab up the pot, probably much faster than I actually realized that I'm moving, and I go to turn to walk towards the outside door, and I slip. Okay, so, and I slip a little bit, and I think at the same time as I slipped, I noticed probably either the grease was so hot, or I splattered a little bit of sweat or water, something hit it. Maybe some air just wafted over the top of the pot, which is totally plausible, all right? And it ignites. I just see a flame as I start to slip. And as I go down, I guess I've got this pot, and I react to the basically the pot catching fire, and I toss grease back up onto myself, and I hit the floor kind of, and I slip as my foot goes up under me, and I throw this grease back on myself, and I land on my back. And all I remember, as soon as I hit the floor, you know, it's very fresh in my mind because it just happened. I see this smoke and this fire light up out of this pot, and I think I'm on fire because I immediately light up, and I hit, and I mean, I'm talking light up, like my skin goes to 1,000,000 degrees fast. And so I hop up thinking I am on fire. All right, so I am in full panic mode, and I reach up because it hit my face, and I reach up and I just feel smush, kind of like as I grab my skin, and it's basically melted my skin up here.
So now let's get up and zoom in to the scar. Turn a little bit more. So his hair does not grow in, and point to it, babe. Yeah. His hair doesn't grow in that whole section down there.
Real good.
Yeah.
No. And fortunately enough, my beard covers it. I don't have too bad a scarring, but it was down the side of my face too.
Right.
Yeah, and my ear, we have a picture, really good picture.
Yeah, let me sit back down and we'll get the picture.
All right.
So I'm going to insert a picture right here of him in the hospital. Go ahead.
Yeah, so where was I at? So thinking that I'm on fire, and I grab my face, because that's obviously where the biggest part of it hit. I also had some pretty extensive scarring on my hand because it sloshed back, but what I really felt was my face. And I remember I closed my eye, fortunately, real quick, and it probably saved, because when I got up, my right eye was really fuzzy. I couldn't focus out of it. So anyway, I go up to touch my head, and I think I'm on fire. All right, because I feel basically just soft skin, and my bottom, you know, my hand, my arm up the side of me, and kind of my head is so hot that I think I'm on fire. So I imagine if we would have had a camera, thinking back on this story now, you know, would have been interesting to see, because I am screaming stop, drop, and roll as I am stop, dropping, and rolling through my dad's living room because I think, you know, I am completely losing it, you know. So I get up after I do a couple rolls back and forth and realize I'm out. There's nothing.
There's no fire.
Yeah, either there was no fire, I'm out, I've got it out, but there's smoke filled everywhere, okay? So at this point in time, you know, my heart is already racing because I've been high for 2 or 3 days, who knows how long, and now I've just got this traumatic event. Yeah. So immediately I realize I've got a problem. I've got a real problem. The house isn't on fire, but I can't just kind of brush this, you know, up under the carpet and clean this up like nothing happened. I'm burnt, you know what I mean? I don't know how bad, but I know just by the way I feel that I've pretty much just almost set myself on fire. So, situational awareness. I think I had better go up and hide all my drugs before I call anybody. I don't want anybody to know what's going on. So I go up and I hide everything I've got. I come downstairs, I get on the phone, it's a wireless phone, and I'm trying to call, I think, my uncle who lives down the street, or, you know, try to figure out what I should do, you know, like he's, you know, he I think he does answer the phone and drops like the best advice possible. And he goes, you should probably call 911. I'm like, isn't that what they teach you after you stop, drop, and roll? I
mean, it's hard to like piece together what you're gonna do in that moment because you're frantic. Like,
yeah, so I was. So
no one's gonna blame you for being like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah, so I hang up and I call and I go next door to the next door neighbor's house, who they're a little bit older and they're home, and I'm sure they answer the door and look out at me and are probably like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since, you know, you showed the photo, they've got that, you know, I'm sure right after it happened, it looked pretty intense. You know, I think, you know, my ear was really crushed up. They thought that, you know, they could tell something had just happened to me, and I was, you know, in a frantic, you know, pace of pretty much just disbelief of what had happened. And I can't see real good out of my eye either. So I call 911, they get the hose out and they're like hosing me off with cold water, and it feels really good, but I think after the fact,
you're not supposed to do that, right?
You're not supposed to do that. So, but I'm telling you,
I'm sure it felt good.
They'd hit me with it and they'd hit me with it again, and I was just, you know, every time they would, it felt great. And so ambulance finally does come, and I think my hesitancy to call an ambulance, I wasn't working. I didn't have insurance or anything at this time, and I knew how expensive stuff was. So, but I said, I quickly realized that probably wasn't going to be an option. I probably just couldn't, you know, work this one out. So the ambulance comes, they get me, and, you know, good point for the listeners here. Don't lie to the doctors or ambulance people or your attorney.
Do not lie to your doctor or your lawyer.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so they asked me, have you been drinking or doing any drugs? Well, no.
Of course not.
This was just a total accident.
Don't do that.
So they obviously want to know because they're giving me morphine for the pain. And so they're hitting me with it on the way from, and my dad lives outside of town, like out by a lake. So it's a good, how many, it was
12 minutes?
12 minutes even in to get to town, and then it's
right. Another 10 to the hospital.
To the hospital, yeah. So they're hitting me with morphine, and my body is pumping so hard from the adrenaline and probably the drugs that it's just, they're having to just hit me over and over and over again with it. So they get me to the hospital, they check me out, they, you know, we can speed up the story here. They call my family, I think my mom, my dad come in, and they do a quick assessment there at the local facility, and they make a determination that they can't treat me there. They're gonna have to fly me out. So they make arrangements, they call the helicopter, and they fly me, what is it, maybe a couple hours north?
To Little Rock?
Springfield.
Oh, Springfield, yeah.
Yeah, at the big Mercy Hospital, and they've got a burn unit there. So they hook up the chopper, and at this point in time, I'm kind of going in and out of consciousness, and, you know, kind of coming to, and they've got me strapped down to a gurney, and I remember I'm kicking in this chopper, and they're like, you have to settle down, and I don't know, because I've got so many different drugs pumping through my system on top of the recreational ones that I've used. I've just burnt myself. I think I'm probably in shock at this point in time, and my body doesn't know what's going on. So they get me up there. They, you know, they do the thing that they do. You know, that they I think they put me out finally, and I went down. I stayed for a couple days to let them kind of wrap my hand and figure out what they could do to let them assess whether or not they were going to have to do a skin graft or anything. You know, and you showed the picture, and I think, you know, the swelling started to come down after a couple days, but it wasn't totally down. You know, my hand was burnt so bad all over the fingers that I couldn't close. You know, the skin was so tight I couldn't close my hand. You
do have discoloration, and I kind of want to show them your thumb too. So let me come back over here. So his thumb is actually so messed up that he lost some of his nail, and that'll never be the same. Hold up your hand like this. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but his hand has a lot of discoloration on it.
Yeah, it's gotten better since it's been several years.
It has.
We were at the hospital, and they were checking me out. They make sure they don't have to do any skin grafts. They get me the stuff I need. I think my mother at this time comes and gets me. She does, and brings me back down with everything I need to stay back at my dad's. Obviously, I told, I'm sure that, you know, everybody at this point in time is aware that I'm doing drugs, you know, so I think I think even the doctors, I kind of overheard them talking to my mom, because I think she asked, and I'm sure they ran a blood test, you know, they found what was, you know, what was going on. And anyway, so they take me back, I'm wrapped up, I've got everything I need, fresh out of the hospital, several days out, and get back to my dad's place, and, you know, I'm just happy to be home. and they tell me I'm very, very lucky too that I shut that eye just in time that the grease only kind of scorned the very outside of the cornea, and it didn't scald it or burn it all the way through, so it would heal. It was just a little bit fuzzy there for a couple days, and then obviously the swelling that was around my face kind of made it difficult. But anyway, so we can kind of wrap this traumatic story with some comical why you shouldn't do drugs ending. So I get back and this has happened. I'm happy that, I'm okay. I think that, the only thing I had left going for me, at least I thought, I was like, at least I was still kind of good looking. And now I've ruined that too. So what else better to do than get high? I'm alone. I remember where I've hid my stash, and back upstairs I go. Nobody's home, and I've got a big open loft, so I've got my space to myself. I get everything out, and I remind you, my hand is wrapped with burn bandaging. It's got ointment, a first wrap, and then that, the bandaging wrap around it, individually each finger, and then kind of around the hand. So
you look sexy.
Yeah, I look sexy, and I've got, obviously
all of that on his face.
On my face, and it's got ointment, trying to keep it moisturized at first. So I'm right-handed, so obviously I'm getting my stuff together, and I don't know how much we can get away with as far as visual here.
Tell it all.
I get my pipe out, and I've got a light, and obviously because my hand doesn't have a lot of movement and it's still got some bandaging, I go to hit the lighter, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you right now? And I hit it, and because my hand's shaking so much, I hit and it kind of catches a little bit of my bandaging on fire. All right. So I'm like, obviously at this point in time, I'm a little bit timid of fire. So this really should have been an aha moment for me, but all I could think in the delusion or the craziness or the psychotic, the mindset of my drug addiction was, wow, I really ought to be more careful smoking this pipe.
And that's what it is. I mean, we don't see it. We
No.
don't see 20 steps ahead of us. We see right now. And
No.
that's what addiction makes us think. Like, oh, I need to be more careful. Not I need to stop.
Yeah.
I need to be more careful.
At no point in time did I think maybe if I wouldn't have been smoking dope, getting high, I wouldn't have just almost burnt myself to death.
Never crossed your mind.
Never crossed my mind. I actually thought I should be more careful smoking this pipe because I had bandages on my hand, and I was going to have to come up with a different strategy. But that is definitely a moment where I should have had that awakening that everybody talks about. But my bottom had still not been found yet, so I went on to endure a little bit longer.
He grabbed a shovel,
but
kept on digging.
But yeah, so that's definitely a good story time for those of you that are still curious. I have made a couple batches of French fries since, so
yeah, successfully.
I have overcome that hurdle in my life.
I just have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
What was your dad's reaction? So his dad can fix anything. He has remodeled that entire house. He's so talented. So the damage wasn't that concerning because he could fix everything.
Yeah.
He's taken a chainsaw to his roof just to increase it by 3 inches. I mean, he's talented.
Yeah.
But what was your dad's reaction to all of this? Did he think it was because of your drug use?
I'm sure they probably thought so, and I'm sure that they, while I was gone, may have made a pass through the space that I was living in just to check. But we all know that you become pretty clever at hiding things when you're hiding an addiction for a number of years. So I think they probably assumed, but at the same time they probably wanted to assume that I was a smart guy, that maybe I was going to figure something out of this. They were happy that I was okay.
Which you are.
I think he was concerned, and he helped me a couple times. I remember even having to rebandage my hand up, which because I could only kind of use one hand because it was so like I said, I just didn't have a lot of movement. It was very limited. So I kind of remember him doing that for me, and I thought me and my dad weren't ever really close at this point in my time. In my life is when we kind of reconnected a little bit, and I remember him helping me, and I thought that was kind of a big deal, even though I guess it shouldn't have been. It was kind of a remedial task for somebody that just had that happen. But
still, it means a lot to have help when you need help.
And at this point in time, I'm still halfway trying to cling on to the dream that maybe I'll get another job. And now I've, you try to come to an interview looking like that and explain what has gone on.
True.
So another obstacle in my way, another story down. Like I said, I think that I should have probably learned some lessons from that, and I did now. But at the time, that information wasn't really sinking in. I was a slow learner for sure. But once I got it, I got it. So
can you talk a little bit about the healing process and what you had to go through?
Oh, you want me to describe what we've talked about? Okay.
We want the deets.
For any of you that have ever really had a burn or know, when to prevent scarring and really good healing, and that's kind of what has helped me with most of the face, and my ear really looks pretty normal. It came back.
It looks normal.
Pretty good. Yeah. You have to clean it, and because it's pretty much like an open wound. I think it was 2nd degree burns. I wasn't to 3rd degree. We didn't have to skin graft, luckily, and some of that hair did grow back, but not nearly like it should have. But all of this has, and my face and my ear and most of my hand. I've done pretty good in a couple spots along my side.
He has big spots on his side.
Yeah, and my leg that have started to fade some, but. What you have to do is you have to clean this, and because this was the deepest and biggest part of the burn, because it hit me direct and the other stuff was kind of spatter, just my hand and my face were the bad spots, you have to soak it through when it starts to crust up and starts to scab. You have to soak it through to kind of soften it up, and then you have to get a cloth with some ointment and some wash, and you have to basically scrub this open dead skin, and you have to scrub all that scabbing off so it's fresh and it can breathe again, and then you have to re-ointment it back up, and you have to do this every day as it's trying to heal itself. And it does help you, like I said, as far as appearance and what will grow back healthier and stronger if you make sure you do it. If you're not, it's going to be a problem. So to give some scalability, with some of the storylines and things that I've described, here on your channel, we told the curb stomp story and everything else. I would have to say it was probably one of the hardest things I had to do. The most painful things that I think I've probably endured was just scrubbing that off. I would literally have to take like another towel and kind of stick it all the way back on the left side of my jaw and clamp down on it, and then just kind of go to town on my face and my ear for 25 minutes until I got all of it off, because it'd be really hard, You
were screaming.
Oh, and I could just feel my eyes just watering. I was biting down as hard as I could. It was painful. So, I think that was definitely an eye opener for me, now that I reflect back on it, because things can always get worse for you, and that was pretty much, fast. And I was very, very lucky to come out as well as I did from that. So yeah, that was the event itself, and then having to heal and get through that. And I had to do that all over my hands too. And it is, like if you've ever had like a blister or an open wound, like where your skin is just open, it's bad. It's pretty painful. And like I said, I just had to relive through that every day. For I think about a month, when it really started to heal up really well.
So you had to scrub your face 30 times, scrub an open wound 30 times.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough. It helps, it helped if I could stand in the shower or under the faucet and get it real soft, like let the water really soak in, kind of when you get wrinkly when you go swimming as a kid. So that was definitely advantageous to make the event a little smoother, but there was still no way around, the pain that you were going to have to endure to get that off. But
you're so strong.
I did well.
Have to be.
Don't give me too much credit. But I think by sticking to that and doing what I said I was supposed to do, I was still getting high. Of course we know I was not going to give that up, but other than that, I got lucky and I pulled through that with the best outcome I could here. I think pretty minimal for what I endured for sure.
So that happened in October?
October, yep.
Of 2012?
2012, yep.
And you got sober?
June that next year. So we had a good 8 or 9 months, that we decided that this wasn't the bottom.
Yeah.
So, and we can go ahead and tell this. Being in that world, in that circle, and the drug that we were doing, people always assumed it was from cooking.
Yes. And I didn't want to ask you that because, so I met Reece December. So he'd only had 6 months sober. I met you December of 2013.
Yep.
And you had 6 months sober. And I remember, I knew you were in drug court, and I knew, some things that you were going through. Yep. And I didn't want to ask, but I had to. Because I immediately thought, like, this is from cooking meth.
Yeah. Like something had exploded on me and gone wrong.
I dead ass thought you were going to say meth. Yeah. And when you said French fries, I was like...
some French fries, yeah.
French fries? He's lying. Like, I really didn't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm like, he doesn't want to stay because we were at a work
Nobody
holiday
really
party.
wants French fries that bad, bro.
But we were at a work Christmas
Yeah.
party, so I'm like, he just doesn't want to tell me, and I'd ask you later at dinner. And I'm
yeah.
like, was it really French fries? Like, you can tell me. I'm cool. You
Yeah.
can tell me. And yeah, it really was French fries.
Yep, it was. So, you know, so once again, it was definitely an opportunity for me to stop and learn my lesson, but I didn't. So it makes for a good story later, and I hope people, you know, can take a few good things out of it as well as a few, you know, some entertainment value at the same time. So I hope it doubles as both, like I said. But, you know, when you're out there, you're curious about whether or not your loved one or somebody you know why they can't find bottom. That wasn't mine.
Because we don't see it.
Yeah,
we can't see the bottom.
You can't. You know, so that feeling I had and everything I went through, and I went right back to doing it and thought I better be more careful trying to light this pipe. That is all that happened. You know what I mean? That was the big moment for me, was I need to be more careful smoking this pipe. And you know, that's part of being a drug addict. It really is. Being
an addiction, you really are just living in a fog. So the outsiders looking in are like, oh my God, like, get it together. This should be the bottom. And to us, it's so blurry and foggy that we can't even tell.
And you know, and like for me, my aha moment wasn't anything big or profound, but I know, you know, without a doubt, I can see it like it happened yesterday to me. It was very simple, very basic. There wasn't a whole lot to it.
But it was the thought that I don't want to do this again.
It was it. Yeah.
And that means everything.
So it can be a big event, a small event. You know, there can be a lot of contributing factors that push you there, or it could be nothing. It could just be Wednesday. So, yeah.
You just don't want to live like this on Thursday.
Yeah, that's it.
So, thank you so much for
You're
sharing
welcome.
another story.
I hope everybody likes these. If they do, you know, I've got a few more good ones.
He does, and they will. They want to know more stories. So I love you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this story time. Stay safe, stay sober. Don't forget about the oil that you're cooking French fries with.
Make sure you get those fries out.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, you guys.
Thanks.